AIT Studios in Abuja, Nigeria. This is the O&M Sunday Show with Obiora Ilo and Mamode Akuga.
Hello, thanks for joining us. This is your show, the O&M Show. Today on the program, we have someone who a lot of Nigerians like to listen to because some of the things he says are not the usual thing you hear in the Nigerian polity. He was a former governor of Anambra State. Now I don't know if I can say he's retired, but he's not holding any political office. Whether he's retired, I don't know. Mamode is here. Mamode, we're talking about former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi.
Yes.
Is he retired?
Peter Obi is very, very far from retired. Very, very far. And to a large extent, one can still say that he's still actively involved in politics. If nothing else, the last PDP judgment, Peter Obi, of course, was very visible. So he's still very, very involved in politics, still very much a member of the PDP.
Well, I'm Obiora Ilo. You're welcome to the show.
And I am Mamode Akuga. Joining us shortly now is Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra State.
Are you watching Nigeria's biggest late night show?
In a recessed economy, an economy that had gone into recession through no fault of ours, but the fault of the previous government, who refused to save anything, when they sold oil at $110 a barrel, and we're producing 2.2 million barrels, our OPEC quota, full capacity, they saved nothing.
Change in the leadership in National Assembly is normal. It is not very abnormal. Yeah. We are 109 in the Senate. Only 10 people are in the leadership. 99 are not in the leadership, and I'm not better than any of them.
I don't have issues. I don't have any strained relationship with the governor because I left PDP. PDP is dead. PDP is dead.
Poverty is inherited from one generation to another. And unless you do something from outside, an external support, those people will never leave poverty.
Giving out a welfare package, they've done the basic things. They are giving out something extra to uplift. We have not done the basic.
We know the sufferings of the people. We hear the cries of the people. We are sad about the hardships that they are going through. I can say from personal knowledge that that is one of the things dearest to the hearts of Mr. President.
Things are changing. Yes, to the ordinary man, it's difficult for you to see those changes because for now, those things that need to change gets back to the roots of a sustained fight against corruption. One of them is the need to change the laws.
When people say to me, Nigeria is non-negotiable, I say, please be careful what you say. The unity of Nigeria should not be negotiable. But the terms and conditions of staying together must be negotiated. It has always been negotiated.
O&M Show with Obiora Ilo and Mamode Akuga. Tuesdays, 11 p.m. and on Sunday, 2 p.m.
Your Excellency, you're welcome.
Your Excellency.
I'm sure you heard
my opinion.
You heard our debate. Call it a debate. Are you retired?
Well, there's the retirement age.
You're not there yet?
You are not there.
I'm not there.
Obviously.
Anyway, glad to have you on our show. So much has been happening, and you know, everywhere you go in Nigeria, people are talking. But let's go back to something you've continued to preach, even while you were in government and now that you're out of government. You've talked about responsibility of those in government. You've also talked about making government lighter, you know, reducing the money that we spend running our governments. But let me start with responsible governance. when you talk about stuff like that, where are you coming from and what are you saying?
I probably would take you to a different position for you to appreciate what I was saying more. Is you said a lot has been happening now. So when we talk about a lot happening now, we talk about what is happening today. We hear all forms of agitation all over Nigeria. Some are more, some are less. But basically, there's a groundswell of agitation all over the country. Why do you think all these agitations are on? Basically one thing, the collapse of the economy. So when you link it to the cost, monies that would have been expended in different areas that will make the economy work, then you see why you have to reduce the cost of governance. It's unacceptable. And I'll elucidate it as we go along.
Yeah, there are people who, you'll try to link the agitations to the economy specifically. There are a lot of other people who will go further than that to link with the agitations that you have going on in the country to other issues apart from economy.
Which issues?
They're going to talk about marginalization, not properly represented in government.
It's all part of the same thing. If you have a functional system, it's encompassing. So if you talk about marginalization, you talk about this, the reason why you have the groundswell of agitation is you have to raise several years, a result of several years of leadership failure. We have a leadership that have failed to plan for the future of the country. When you have such a situation, you must experience what we're experiencing today. You have 10,000, you have failed to invest in education. You have 10.7 million out-of-school children. That is about the highest in the entire world. You have over 60–70% of your youths unemployed, underemployed. You're bound to face a crisis. It's as simple as the agitations you're seeing today is because of sense of hopelessness. Even you here, if you don't find a hope in this system, you will want to go somewhere else. You want to leave. So all you're hearing everywhere, depends on the size and style, is we're tired of here. Whether it's imagination, it is because you have not created an environment where people's talent match up the opportunity. You have people in their productive age not seeing any sense of hope.
In other words, what you are trying to say is that if the economy was good, fairly above average, and the basic amenities were provided for a society that is developing and evolving, people will not bother with federal character. They will not bother with sense of belonging.
All those things will be inclusive. It will be there. Because once you create an enabling environment where people's talent will match up the opportunity, you won't think about the character, anything again. It is all inclusive. And you can look at it in different countries of the world. If people are not agitating in China as they're doing here, in India, in Malaysia, as they're doing here, the reason is that they've built their economy. And they elucidate that fact further on the economy. What we need is that our economy is not working. And it's no longer rhetorics. We need managers to manage it now, or it will get worse. The agitation you're seeing now will get worse. People in their productive age are not doing anything. Let me take you back to use 5 or 6 similar countries with same trajectory as us, because they have had military government, coups, corruption, terrorism, militancy, all inclusive. Talk about China, Indonesia, Malaysia, South Korea. All these countries, Thailand have a similar problem as ours. But they've all changed. If you go back and look at, people talk about 1960, 1970. Let me assume these were the periods where we had the Civil War. Let me even give 10 years from the end of the Civil War, from 1970 to 1980. But let's look at the economies of these countries in 1980. Our own economy, Nigerian GDP, in 1980 is $64 billion. China is $189 billion. Indonesia is $78 billion. South Korea is 67. Thailand is 32.8. And Malaysia is $24.5 billion. These are 5 countries.
In 1980.
In 1980. Today, we are $400 billion. So in 1980, China was 3 times us. Today, China is about $12 trillion. So they're now 30 times, from 3 to 30 times today. South Korea, that was 64.
Almost at par with Nigeria.
Yes, it's now 1.4 trillion. So you could see the movement. Somebody that was at par with you is now almost 4 times where you are. Malaysia have moved from 24 to about 385. Thailand have moved from 32 to 450
billion.
Indonesia have moved from 78 to over $1 trillion. So you could see you have not moved.
At all.
Compared to, I'm just comparing all these countries.
To other countries, yes.
Look at the reserve of these countries. In 1980, our reserve is $10.5 billion. That of China is 10.
The same thing.
10. That's something. Korea is 3. Malaysia is 5.5. Indonesia is 3. So is Thailand.
And today?
Today, we are 30. China is 3 trillion, 1%. We started this series. We're not 1% of what they are. Every other country, South Korea, is about $360 billion. From 3, you're 10. You're now 10%, not up to 10% of what
they were.
Indonesia, which I actually made a mistake, is 6.5. They're now over 100. Malaysia have moved from 5.5 to over 100. And Thailand, over 156. And you are 30. Per capita, we were 870 in 1980. China is $193. So we're 4 times. Today, China is at 8,000. We're 2,000. I can go on and on. Even in your market capitalization, your economy is $32 billion market capitalization. The least in all these countries I mentioned, China does a 7 trillion. The least is Malaysia at 355.
Yeah, excellent.
I can go on and on. You know that there's a call they call the mint economies. If I compare the mint economies, you will see the picture.
No doubt.
That is why you have agitation. That's why you have a problem. Unfortunately, in the country, we think leadership is about people who can make noise, popular people, or this. No, no, no. What we need is visionary leadership, economic managers, people who can look at their past. We thought leadership is about, somebody who is the, I don't know where I will close. Okay, this man has been this, this man has been this. Somebody could have been a good teacher. Somebody could have been a good footballer. Somebody could have been anything. Remember in Philippines once they brought a good musician, a popular star, to be their president. And the country nearly collapsed in 6 months. It is not a popularity contest. It is, let's look at those who are competent. If those who have led us have been able to be visionary,
but Your Excellency,
and can benchmark what they're doing.
Is it about the leaders or the people who decide this is the leader we want? Because it's the vote.
It is all collective.
It's the people.
Let me tell you, it is all collective. You start, even when, yes, the people decided, I've said, I agree with you, Nigerians have also made wrong choices. We hire the worst in us.
Because,
who are incapable of anything, and that's why we're failing.
You zeroed it all to the economy. Now, anybody who understands Nigeria and its leaders, even in the past, I mean, let me just quote former President Obasanjo, who says, look, the economy is one of Buhari's weakest points. And anybody will tell you that when it comes to the economy, the man understands very little of how to go about. And Obasanjo will know. He has been president 2 times. Now, is it that as Nigerians, we did not think in that mode which you were talking about?
I'm not looking at, when you look at this, with all due respect, I'm not looking at the particular government. That's what I talked about from 1980, even when we had military government.
But there's a crisis. We need an economic manager now.
No. I started from 1980. If you want, I'll take you back to 1970. The collapse did not start today. No system collapses in one day or the collapse has been there. And there's no one person to blame. Even then, when there was attempts, there's been attempts along the line to even renovate, try to create an economy that would have been sustainable in growth. It was not possible because it was not driven by a clearly thought planned, focused goal. And I give you an example. Nigeria was a signatory to MDG from 1980 to the year 2000. All the MDG alone, the Millennium Development Goals, encompasses all you need for development. Nigeria, apart from being signatory to it, never planned, budgeted, executed anything based on that, which they had their signature on. The consequence is that 15 years after, we did not achieve one of the goals. We are now signatory to SDG. It's going to end in 2030. If you're a signatory, let me tell you why I use this as an example. For you to be able to have a clear, focused growth, you must do things that are measurable. People can see. You must benchmark yourself. When you're talking about G8 countries G20 countries. Why do they call them? Why would we be on it? Because the things they measure, the things they benchmark,
Yes.
that is a human being. The reason why the country has not moved is that we have not been able to do things that, hey, we're listening, we are moving from point A to B, and everybody can measure it and follow it religiously. For example, if you look at our last plan, rolling plan, the last one that was ever written in this country, nobody talks about it today. It was written there clear that Nigeria will be generating 40,000 megawatts by the year 2000. So, what does that show? By the year 2000, if that is the case, by the year 2000, and this was something that was done over 20 years before 2000.
Ahead of time.
So if they had been saying, okay, let's say today we are 2000, as at the time they wrote that, we're going to add every year 500 megawatts. By now, by the year 2000, which is over 20 years from the day they wrote that, it would have been, they would have had additional 10. So 12 added. If we continue on that path, today would have been at 20. But that was just a piece of paper. Nobody had heard of it. Nobody followed it. Both the leaders and the followers, nobody measured it. It was not benchmarked to anything. If we were measuring and benchmarking, we would have known, look at our economy. There was a time we said we don't know what to do with money. But actually, it's because we are not competent, we didn't have competent leadership to benchmark what is happening with other countries and know that, hey, wait a minute.
Okay, Your Excellency, let's look at, like Mode said, we have a crisis. What should be the injection right now? What should be the antidote?
For me, focus on turning the economy around.
How? Can we break it down?
There's so many things we need to do. That's why I said, let me look at the issue of cost.
Okay.
That's why I took you.
Okay.
But I didn't answer your question. Initially, I went to the cost of governance is unacceptable. It's too high. We need to look at the size of our economy. That's why I'm one of the advocates of restructure. Our economy, you look at the economy, you look at the size of, it's like a human being. You have, you once had opportunity of living in a big house or living a particular lifestyle, and you find out it's no longer sustainable. Just like I said about the restructure, when you have a system that is not working, what makes a difference that you know it's not working and you change it? The cost of governance is too high. We have 36 states, which you know that about 20 of them are not viable. So sustainable.
Cannot be viable.
No.
But
are not.
They don't have capacity for viability?
Well, we've not tried to. We don't try that. What is it? I'm looking at the size of the economy. I'm not saying collapse.
Okay.
But I'm just telling you, but let's look at the cost of governance. Let's look at the cost. Do we need all these states? Do we need all this? Let's look at the cost implication. People will always say to you, hey, wait a minute, but there's, in America, there's 50 states in this. China, I just told you, is a 12 trillion economy. They have 33 regions. China, 12 trillion economy. America is 18 trillion economy. They have 50 states. And I give two, three states to give you example of our costing. California is about in land size half of Nigeria. In population, it's about 39 plus million, which is a quarter of Nigeria. But California in GDP is 2.6 trillion, which is 6 times Nigerian GDP. That's California. For California is bigger probably than the GDP of Africa. Because if you consider that the two biggest one is Nigeria and South Africa, is 700. So it's about 4 times Nigeria and South Africa put together. That is the country, is one state in America. The state of New York is 1/6 of Nigeria in land size, 1/10 of Nigeria in population, so it's about 16 million. That's a GDP of 1.5 trillion, about 4 times Nigeria. It's one state.
In the 50 states of America.
And I can tell you, in all these states that I mentioned so far, it costs more, probably, to run the office of the governor in Nigeria than any of those states. I can't, if the governor of California or governor of New York ever puts a 10-vehicle convoy on the road, he will not be governor the next day. That one I'm sure. I happen to have met 2 of the governors in America while I was serving. And I know how they live. In one, I was with the boss with him. In one of the American states today, the wife of the governor is working in a grocery shop because the salary of the governor cannot take care of 2 of them.
And not sustain the family.
Yes. Let me give you another cost so you will know. The one state in America operates the unicameral assembly that we operate, Nebraska, one of the lower ones. The budget of Nebraska is $9 billion, which is about 3 trillion, which is higher than the budget 3 times the budget of Southeast and Northeast of Nigeria put together. Nebraska has 49 assembly members, paid $12,000 each, and is a part-time job. The Southeast and Northeast of Nigeria, in total, is a total of 288 House members, earning about 10 times what it needs to keep a legislator in Nebraska. The cost of governance here is not acceptable.
To change this cost,
I can go on and on.
To change this cost, you need a constitutional.
No, you don't need. Let me tell you, you don't talk about constitutional change. This is what we make. This is what we put in place.
So how do you, for instance, to reduce the cost of
governance? It can be changed overnight.
How? Because Nigerians today want to know the hows of suggestions that are being made.
When I did it in Anambra State, it's not a rocket science. The Constitution says you cannot save money in Anambra State. For example, from day one, I said we must save money. I said we must save money. I recall even addressing the House members and everything. I said, listen, our resource, why are we having problem today as a country? Because our reserve and saving is low. So we can't defend our currency. We can't fight inflation. And because of it, even your market is low. So you don't have room to attract foreign direct
investment.
Why will I come to your country when I'm not sure I can take out my money? When I'm not sure of what is happening? If I reserve today, which is what I suggested when I spoke on May 1st, how we can build our reserve, that by the year 2030, we will be at least 100 billion. With that, you can defend your currency. You can attract foreign direct investment. both portfolio and everything, and be able to generate the resources to invest in infrastructure. What you're doing now is that you're living from hand to mouth. And how long are you going to do that? So you made a mistake in the past. When I said it in Anambra, I said, our money, these resources is called, we're the only country whose major part of our resources is from extractive industry that is not saving. Because this is a diminishing asset. It's not going to be there forever. France has just said that by the year 2040, they will not be selling vehicles again with diesel or petrol. And it's coming up virtually everywhere in the world. Sooner or later, nobody will buy it. And you're not preparing for it. People are talking about knowledge economy. You're not investing in it because you're not investing in education. So what are you planning?
Let's look, because you say, cutting the cost of government can be done overnight. I mean, an attempt to do it overnight will just cause so much chaos within the system.
Not true.
Let us look at, well, we probably will need to explain how that can be done in a very short space of time. But even the constitutional stipulated size of our government, which is bloated, each state must have assembly, constituencies, and all that. Even the ones that are not stipulated in the constitution, you have heard governors appointing 200 SAs and PAs.
What I'm saying is that you can shut down all this.
How?
Yes. No. My dear.
How can the governors be compared, for instance,
to
do that?
I said you did it because you wanted to. Today, we are not sure of the 36 governors.
We're not talking about being compared. I said, you look at the situation. For example, I didn't see any reason why governor of Anambra State should have a lodge in Abuja. I don't live in Abuja. I did not live in
Your
Abuja.
Excellency, what I'm trying to make you understand is that was you.
No, but
that was you. No. There are governors who have more than one in Abuja.
That's what I'm saying. You have to look at it. That's what I said before. That we have to look at. That's why we have peer review, comparison, everything with what is happening.
The peer review doesn't work with work with Nigeria.
No, you have
the MDGs you talked about.
No, the peer
review mechanism did not work with us.
The people have to. We voted these people in. They are our leaders. We have to look at it. What you asked me before is how it's not possible. And I'm saying it's possible.
Overnight.
No, Obiora used one word.
No.
Obiora said, how do you compel, for instance, the governors? How do you compel them to think in this cost-saving measure?
It is the leader. It is the people. The people should be stopped celebrating what I can consider as a responsibility.
Your Excellency, but you know that the people in Nigeria don't make the decisions about who leads them.
No.
You know the way it is.
No, don't say that.
No, Your Excellency, you understand it.
Don't say that. I disagree with you entirely.
What
people do?
How? I mean,
they voted for them.
For instance, you were elected by your people.
Yes.
Your position was usurped. If you were not determined as an individual to pursue
you would never have been governor.
You couldn't have become governor.
That's what I'm saying. It is time for us to sit up and challenge the rascality. It is time for us to sit up and say, we cannot go on this way. Look at what it is happening and everything. We didn't print money in Anambra State. I did not print one. We don't even have the facility to do that. But there's no way you can tell me that in the same system where we're able over an 8-year period to save in investment and cash over 75 billion that somebody else is owing salaries for months and everything.
Yes, forgive me to interrupt you here. Forgive me to interrupt you here. This is what you have laid down for 8 years. You built that culture. You saved 75 billion. Let's go to your state right now. The man that took over from you is not bound by any law to do those things you did, yes. Or even to keep the money that you saved. Part of the things on issue today is that the money you saved is no longer there.
I don't know about that, but let me tell you, that is not my. Well, I don't know about that, but let me tell
No,
you.
no, but
let me tell you, that's where I blame. You know, when we're talking, he brought in the people.
yes.
It is for the people to know why do you think Americans are questioning Donald Trump today? Because they've seen a change in the style.
No, Your Excellency, I'm going to
It is
interrupt you
Nigerians-
again, Your Excellency. I'm
it is
going to interrupt you
Nigerians,
again.
It is the people to say,
No,
well,
wait.
listen, hey, wait a minute. This is not the way our children used to. I give you an example. Let me use education for example. Let me use education. In year 2001, schools were closed in Anambra State for 1 whole year. You are aware of that?
Yes.
Thank you. By the time I became governor, we had the first problem I was confronted with, boys out of school. It was boy issue. Boys were not going to school. Our school were number 25, number 26 in work. Even at the unity schools, our cutoff point was about, I think, 80-something, thereabout. We said, no, we can't. We must turn this around. About us by 2011, where school was shut in 2001, we were number 1. By 2012, we were number 1. By 2013, we were number 1. Today, we have the highest cutoff point in unity school, 139. Even with that highest, we want to check results of this year, we're the best. So what am I saying? We said no. So it is the same thing, whether it's in health, in road, whenever I say we have the same road, best road network, it's there.
Yes, I'm talking about continuity. Your Excellency, I'm talking about continuity. We are talking about compulsion. No, it can't be the people, Your Excellency.
Their children are no
Your
longer
Excellency,
in
it cannot be the people. For instance, the governor in Anambra State today was put there by you.
I don't want
you
to
chose that
No.
You chose that governor. Even if the people said no, you had enough influence to run roughshod over them and institute that governor.
Never. We campaigned. We made a promise. We said we're going to do A, B, C, D, F. It is for the people to say, what you told us you're going to do, you not do it. I'll give you an example. I was giving schools money direct. Parents were managing. So if you find out, you see, let me tell you about the whole entire Nigeria. This is the only country where at campaign time you promise something. When you go into office, you do the opposite. And nobody cares.
But you know why? You know why it's like that?
Why?
It's like that because the votes do not really count.
No.
Because people get it. Your
It
Excellency, you talk about this Nigeria.
You're an example of it. You were voted for and you were not governor.
What did the people do?
What did the people How many people do?
No, the people supported me to challenge the rascality, I'm telling you.
How? You said they supported you to. If you didn't come on a personal level, if you didn't come on a personal level.
There was a demonstration, it was me who stopped it. It was me who said, don't worry, we'll challenge this rascality. All I'm saying, telling you is that where we are today in our country, we need visionary leadership, economic managers.
Okay, so let's go to another area. Restructuring. In short, I was reading the papers yesterday, and someone said, I think he was the governor of Imo State. He said, reconstruction, he doesn't understand what is reconstruction. What Nigeria needs is repackaging. And I was like, this is language gymnastics or something. But the point I'm making is that restructuring that everybody is trumpeting right now means different things to different people. For you, what does restructuring mean?
Thank you. Well, you're right. It means different things for different people. I've heard you talking about repackaging. When something is not working, you change it. The way it is today, it is not working. When we talk about restructuring, we're talking about true federalism. True federalism. Let people be able to manage their own resources, be it human, be it everything. I told you about cutoff point of Anambra State being 139. You will not believe it. Another state, it is 5.
5%.
In today, no. If I want to, if Anambra State or the Southeast is on his own and manages his own resources and his own people, and let me tell you, the only reason why so many people are talking about restructuring is that they are still looking at this baggage economy because we have oil here, we have the world have moved. What people need to talk about now is knowledge economy. The people are trying to have cars now that will not have a driver. So that's and for example, today, I may give you an example of our economy being 420 billion, 420 billion. South Africa, 280, 700 billion. The market capitalization of Apple is 750 billion. It's bigger than these two countries put together. Google is bigger than the 600 billion. It's bigger than the entire GDP of West Africa. If I want to invest in this economy, I do not need anything. I need to invest in education. Today, the world has shown that in 2020, there will be at least 20 million shortage of science, technology, engineering, mathematics workers. I can invest in it. India is making 150 billion annually from ICT. That's not from oil. So if you have a different system, I can know where to invest my money. It's what has shown that the more you can invest in education, the bigger, better your economy. And that's why Anambra said, the more investment we did in education, the better the system. We no longer talk about boy-girl education again now, because the boys are back in school. If you go and show the school where there used to be boys, CK, DMD, they've all gone back. Because they saw the value. So if I want to invest in that, I'll invest in that. So when you talk about restructure, it allows every, call it segment of Nigeria, to run, develop, do things at their own pace and the way they want. Not just, I'm not talking about the packaging, I'm not talking about, that's why I said, leave all these sentiments and everything. That what we need now is people with experience in management who are focused, who have tried it somewhere and everything. When we don't look back, we say, okay, this man was a good man, a good player, football player, so he would do this. This man was a good this. Or maybe he was a very disciplined soldier,
or
he worked
hard for the campaign.
Or he worked hard for, he was a good dog, or he worked in USC, it was fantastic, or he worked, no. I'm talking about people who have on their own created wealth, worked hard for this. We can follow their track record, see their character, see their consistency, and these people are people of integrity and everything. Because let me tell you, not educational qualification, not because they can talk well, not because they can make noise. Educational qualification, being popular and everything, is not a measure of integrity. It's not a measure of consistency in character and everything. So we have to look at all these things as we go in future. Not today, they're difficult.
But Your Excellency, obviously from the way you're talking, you are all in support of restructuring within a Federal Republic of Nigeria. What do you say and how do you react to people who insist on restructuring out of Nigeria?
Well, all we need to do is start talking. People will see reasons in what they're looking. When people say, oh, I don't want to stay here, it's okay, well, listen, let's talk. For me, we need to look at all these things. Let's sit down and talk. Let's dialogue. Let's talk.
Whether
we're doing this, or let's look at the ones.
Have we not dialogued enough?
Or let's look at the ones that have already been discussed. Yes. Look at it and start looking at, can we implement this? Can we do this? Can we do this? As we're doing this. But as we're doing this, we still need people because we're still talking about a car that has an engine knock. We still need to start working on the engine. And that engine is the economy.
Okay, Your Excellency, we're almost out of time. The PDP just got a breather. Do you believe sincerely in the future of a PDP?
I believe in the future of PDP. I believe in the future of the political party. But let me tell you what I see, and that is truth. Most characters in virtually all the parties in Nigeria, most of us don't even understand what our problem is. I said it just now. This car has an engine knock. It is not about changing the driver. We need to fix
the engine. Well, I think that's where we leave it. Mr. Peter Obi.
I think we need to talk about how to fix the engine some other time.
Yes.
Where to get the piston, the rings, and everything.
The economy.
And put all together.
Mr. Peter Obi, thank you for coming on our show.
Thank you.
And we hope you come back to talk about how to change the parts of the engine.
Yes.
I'm Obiora Ilo. Thanks for watching.
And I am Mahmoud. Thank you all so much for watching, and bye for now.